Naveen, welcome in. Can you hear me okay? Well, you made it in, so okay. All right. Well, I'll see you after a while. Melanie, welcome in. How are you this morning? Do you guys like this Wake Up with Tigress? Heck yeah, Keith, yay! The Hills Have Eyes. Oh, I remember that one too. Oh, you're welcome, Melanie. I was up and down. How about you? I kept waking up. Giving the gift healing sessions for celebration. That's good, Keith. That's good. My internet's acting stupid. Mercury retrograde. Yeah, I've been up and down all night. Bad dreams and kept waking up. I don't believe I was having bad dreams. I just kept waking up. Some of it, I think, because Dad was out there messing around, but at one point I heard him putting wood in the stove and yeah, yeah. Mercury retrograde. I just work around it. I tried to come out the first time and it wouldn't come on. I had to keep retrying, so I ended it. Yeah, I've been doing breath work this morning. And a little bit of exercise, waiting on the tea kettle to heat up. I've kind of gotten into a routine of that. Yes. That and bringing yourself back to the present, like seeing whatever's in the room and like naming it, regrounding yourself in the present. It shifts the energy, especially if you're in the past or you're in the future. It shifts the energy and brings you back to center. Yeah. I breathe in through my nose for 4, hold it for 2, and breathe out for 6. But I watch a couple of Reiki healers too. I like Reiki. Like I watched one yesterday evening after I got off of here. Past, present, future timeline. Yeah, I just breathe in all the good and then breathe out all the negative. It's just something that interests me. I've had several people tell me, like for instance, if I'm doing like a massage or a body massage or something that, I happen to go directly to muscles they didn't even realize were sore. And, you know, I can project like passion through my hands and stuff. So like it's just something that's interesting to me. Yes. But see, I've been kind of working with that. I've been kind of working with the energy, like my nervous system and doing the breathing techniques. So I'm kind of excited that you're on here too, because it was something that I was starting to do. And then I also bring myself back to like the smells of the wood burning and the smells of nature, the smells of rain. I do a lot of different things. See, I've been through all of this trauma and all of this stuff that I've been going through for the last, I'd say, about 4.5 years. I've been grounding myself and getting myself recentered and grounded. See you later, Melanie. I love you too. Have a good day. Be safe and take it easy on yourself. That's how I've made it through a lot of this is grounding myself and, trying to see the positive and even the negatives. I choose to see the positive in the negatives. I choose to wake up and be happy every day. Even if I'm going through something, like most times people can't tell that I'm going through something unless I express it because I keep myself grounded. Yes and yes. But I also, like, I chose to walk out of the relationships. I chose to stop staying and waiting for answers. And by doing that, I also took my power back here recently. And I feel better. Like, I feel like not only did I take my power back, but I feel lighter because I chose me. I'm, stopped worrying about what the answers were and um, whether or not it was going to work. And I started reflecting on everything that's been happening for the last 4.5 years with all the traumas and the manipulation. And instead of going back and trying to get answers, or instead of hoping that they would change their behavior, or hoping that they would see how much I've changed, this is a lot of different people in my life. Um, I just decided I don't need the answers. I don't need the answers. And to keep going back is repeating the loop, repeating the cycle, going back, hoping that it would work out, hoping that they would see. And I don't really need them to see. So I chose to cut that out of my life. I chose to cut the connection. It is done. See, a lot of the going back, a lot of the going back, is because we want answers. We want answers and we want to shift and we want things to change and we want them to see us for who we are, not who they're projecting us to be. And we keep going back wanting this and hoping for this, and then you know hopefully one day you wake up and you realize that you never needed that anyway. You needed to choose yourself from the beginning. And you know whoever's on your vibration is going to be on your vibration. Whoever's meant to be there is going to be there regardless, whether you cut the connection or not. And cutting the connection also will give the connection a chance, if it's meant to transform. So I just decided that, you know, I'm cutting the past. Right. There's that song in my head. Yeah. So they choose to see in a certain light, in a certain way. They don't choose to see the growth and the evolving. So I choose to choose me. And, whatever happens, happens. That's on them. But I can tell you that they lost out on something really good. And if they can't see that, well, that's not my problem. Yes. And also, I've learned, because I've been doing some studying too, I learned that narcissists really, they're not capable of that change. Something happened to them in childhood, and the way that the brain is supposed to work, they're lacking that. And only they can find that and heal that. But they're actually lacking that. So, like, they don't have the empathy, they don't have the compassion, they don't have the understanding that you do. Right. And you can fight with them all day. They're never going to be compassionate with you. They're never going to understand. They're going to see things their way and their way only. And nothing you do. It doesn't matter how much you change. It doesn't matter how much you explain yourself. It doesn't matter how much you try to talk to them about it. They're not going to understand it. They use your emotions against you and manipulate you. They learn everything they can learn about your traumas and who you are and what you've been through, and they use it against you. So, and I had to realize that that was what was going on. And once I really took a step back and I was out of their energy, and I was setting with my own energy, because I like to set with my own energy anyway. So I know my energy from somebody else's. But once I took that step back, really took that step back, not just, left for a while hoping they'd chase me or run out of fear or whatever. Um, Once I really took that step back to go within and go deep, I saw the situation for what it was. I didn't need them, they needed me. And they also needed to have some sort of control. So they felt some sort of power. And to keep me from getting out here and speaking and to keep me where they wanted me for who knows what, maybe wait on them until they get out, and instead of saying that, they use these tactics to keep me in place, and then also use the tactics of hurting me and putting me through a lot of pain to keep me dim, to keep me second guessing and not, taking my power back. So I imagine that when I took my power back and I stood with authority, not just arguing and fighting and defending myself, but stood with authority and said, "This is what's happening. I'm leaving. This is closure for you and for me." I imagine the reason I didn't hear anything back is because I shocked them, because they didn't see that coming. Although I've been saying it the whole time, I've been telling them the whole time, they didn't want to see it or accept it. So when the tie did get cut, it caught them off guard. Exactly. Exactly, Keith, exactly. I make money, they expected that money to go to them. You know, it was like when I was moving, he was like, don't make any plans, don't set anything in stone, don't pay for anything until you approve it through me. What? Wait a minute, this is my money. And I fought him on it. Like, I didn't listen to a damn thing he said. I did it my way. And he didn't like that because a lot of things he didn't get his way with, because I'm strong, I'm independent, and I have a mind of my own. I think for myself, and he hated that. That's something he tried to break in me, and it didn't work. But yeah, I was their battery, and I felt drained. Like, I literally felt my energy drained. I had no energy, and that's because they were feeding off of me. Right. And I mean, it would even be at the point where I would be like, my brother's not working, I've got more responsibility on my back now, I have this bill, this bill, this bill, and still they would be like trying to guilt trip me into giving them, the money. And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've got to pay my bills. And that's one thing that he did know, that my bills came first. It didn't matter. Now, if I had something left over, then yeah, I pretty much gave him my last dime, because of that guilt trip and keeping me in that cycle. But and he always said, I don't have it right now, I'm gonna pay it back to you when I get out, I'm gonna go do this with you when I get out. We're gonna go experience this, experience that. We're gonna do things you haven't done, just to keep me in that loop. And I even told him, I'm like, I'm not the one that put you in there. It's not my responsibility. You put yourself in there. Like, why does that fall on my shoulders? Because I'm not the one responsible for putting you in there. If there is somebody else responsible, go to them. This isn't my burden to carry. And he would mess with my head and make me think that I was thinking incorrectly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually shocked at myself at how long they were able to keep me in that trap. Like, I'm shocked that I did and I put up with what I did and I stayed. And I mean, they're really good at what they do. Yeah. And it was a family member that ended up leading me in that direction. Well, a family member's ex-husband. He was her husband at the time. And I even told her when, because he got her tangled up in a bunch of stuff too. And when she went to jail, I told her, I was like, because she was wanting a divorce. And I told her, I was like, get it while you're in there. He can't stop you. Get it while you're in there. And she did. She listened to me and she did. And she's turned her whole life around. And I'm really, really proud of her. But it was her husband at the time that got me into all of that. Right, right. He used my emotions against me. And I guess somewhere in my mind, I felt safer too with him being in jail. I kind of felt safer because I didn't have to deal with it out here. But the truth is, even though I felt like I was safer, my emotions were safer, that wasn't the truth. That wasn't the truth. It's like he's not out, so he can't hurt me. And I didn't even realize this is what I was doing until, a couple of years in, and then I realized that. But that wasn't the truth. It wasn't safer for them to be in there and not out here. And I guess maybe I developed that because, the girl's father stabbed me in between my heart and lungs while I was driving, and plus the physical abuse out here. But the emotional and mental abuse is just as bad, if not worse. Physical, those bruises leave. Yes, it leaves an emotional trauma, but the physical, those bruises leave, but the emotional and the mental, like, that stays with you. It's hard to work through. Yes, and I'd already gone through a lot of emotional and mental abuse from being a child. So he learned all of that about me, and all of them did. And they played on that. They played on that. They did that emotional push pull and that guilt trip. They did the ghosting. So when they'd ghost, that left me in my head thinking, what did I do wrong? Am I not good enough for them? Is it my looks? Did I say something wrong? So it left me in confusion. But that was their game. That was their game. And then they'd come back like they'd done nothing wrong, or nothing happened, or it was normal for them to be gone like that, or they'd have some excuse. So that left me second guessing, myself, instead of trusting the energy. There were several times that I had told them something's not right. Like, something feels off, something's not right. But they kept me in that state of mind. And as long as they kept me in that state of mind, I couldn't trust my own intuition. I wasn't trusting myself. I was listening to their words opposed to listening to myself. Yes, they did. And when he met me, I had just came out of, like, I was saying yesterday, I had just came out of the catalyst that started my healing. I had just came out of that really bad toxic relationship. And while he was talking to me, that guy was still calling me and fighting with me. So I was emotional, and to pick up the phone, I was still going off about it. I was still upset about it. And I kept apologizing to him for it. And he'd go, no, no, you're okay. You're okay. But see, that's exactly what he was doing. He was learning me. He was learning my weaknesses. He was learning my triggers. He was learning the points to push. And yeah, but he made it seem like, he cared about me. But then there, that's about when he had said something about women being weak too, which that triggered me. I went off on that one. But yeah. So he basically learned all the buttons to push. He learned when to come forward and use emotions, and then when to pull back, and how to keep me confused, and how to keep me second guessing myself, and then constantly doing the back into compliments, and at first I wasn't catching him, but then I was catching him. But then he was like, no, I didn't mean it like that. No, I wasn't saying it like that. No, you're misunderstanding me. So I was constantly in, my body was in stress, fight or flight, and I was constantly confused, not knowing what the hell was going on. And being his source for, like you said, the battery. So they're sucking the energy out of me. I'm stressed constantly all the time. My body's in fight or flight mode. I'm completely drained, and I'm still submissive to what it is that they want. So they're getting what they want and dressing it up that they cared about me. Yes. Right. No, they fought me. They fought me. And anytime something was going good in my life, like they did everything they could to bring me down, to bring my vibration down. Um, when I was out there, even at the bar doing my tarot, like, um, would get mad because I was doing things that I liked. I was, I was succeeding. I was growing. I was evolving. And so then they made it about, well, you're not spending enough time with me, or you don't care about me, or you'd rather go off with your friends, or you'd rather do this. So then guilt trip me. So then that would make me submissive again. I would pull back from what I was doing, even this channel. I would pull back from what I was doing to spend more time with them, to please them, to make them happy, to validate them. Welcome in, Eric. Dennis, welcome in. I'm doing good. Amelia, welcome in. Yeah, but as long as they kept me in the state, they were getting what it is that they wanted, you know. So they couldn't have me wake up. So even when I would say things about, I learned this and I've worked through this and I've worked through that, they would put that down and, be like, well, you're still talking about the same thing you were always talking about. You've not changed nothing. You've not done nothing. So then I'd go back and think, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I haven't. And at one point in time, one of them even said something to me about underlining everything in the letters that I was sending them and sending it back to me so I could see where I kept talking about the same things over and over again. But then I got an idea to, which I didn't tell him why I wanted them, but I got an idea to use those letters for something, which didn't end up doing. But so I was like, okay, yeah, do that. Underline it and send it back to me. And then there was a resistance. Well, why do you want them? Because I just want them. I just want them. So he wouldn't send them back to me because I think he knew that I got an idea from that, but he wouldn't send them back. And I really wish, honestly, that I would have copied everything that I had sent, because not only would that be me being able to see it for myself, but also I had a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge and a lot of the things that I sent them. And, to have that, I would have been able to build something on it. Plus, as the memories come up from my childhood, I was writing them down to them. Like I was sending books, guys. Like I was sending books, not paragraphs, books. So I would have all of that too. And yeah, he didn't send them. Yes. And that's why I work with triggers. I work with the triggers because if they can emotionally trigger you, they've got you where they want you. They can use your emotions against you, they've got you where they want you. So it's very important to ground and balance your emotions and not to allow what someone else says towards you or actions they take towards you, not to allow yourself to take that personally because it's not about you. They're projecting their own stuff onto you, and you getting emotional and out of balance and mad and upset and over explaining yourself and defending yourself, that gives them the power. And that's what they want. They want that power. And they don't have to look at themselves. They can project how they feel about themselves inside on you. And as long as you take that in and you carry that cross, you're bearing their cross for them as well as your own. Yes. Yes, definitely. But I also know that that was my journey. I was supposed to go through the jail system. That was part of my path, because that, honestly, if it wasn't for it being that intense, I don't think that I would, because I'm stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. I don't think that I would have seen it or done the healing that I've done. I wouldn't have thought to look back at, well, where am I overgiving? Why am I overgiving? Where am I letting them control me? Yes, I'm standing up, defending myself, and standing, saying you're not going to control me. But at the same time, they were controlling me. So if I wouldn't have went through some really tough thugs, I probably wouldn't have changed that behavior. But because that I went through such intense emotions and intense trauma with all three of them, I evolved and grew quicker. Plus, I was also looking for patterns in them, patterns in me, things that kept repeating. And that's what I was working with. So I was dealing with that in there, then also dealing with my brother with the place that I was at, him bullying me, him having everybody else fight me. So not only are they sucking the life out of me, but so is my family. And then I had a get together. My son, his uh manager for his rap, he OD'd and ended up passing away. And we had the mark of the first year since he had passed away. And I had, like, what did I have? I had I had like 7 or 8 people at my house. I was hosting this. Like, it was being done at my house. And, we had all this stuff that was supposed to be set up, which didn't go anything like it was supposed to go. It was all rushed. And that was stressing me out. But I had all of these people. I had my kids there, and I had all these people there. And in that weekend, just that weekend alone, I had 3 anxiety attacks that I hadn't had before. At the same time, the guy that is now out, that is with my brother's ex-wife, was calling me like freaking continually. Like, I mean, every 5-10 minutes he was calling me while I'm trying to spend time with these people. I'm trying to have this ceremony, and I'm trying to spend time with my kids. I was also fitting in time with him. So every time he would call, I would answer, and it would be fighting, and I would be anxious, and he'd be like, well, I don't know why you're so anxious. You don't have no reason to be anxious. And you don't know what anxiety is. And so I'm dealing with all of this on top of all of that. And it was crazy. It was a lot that I was dealing with. And I was dealing with all of this on my own. And honestly, I ended up going off on my kids. I ended up having to apologize to my kids, because I was so anxious, and like, everybody wanted my attention. He wanted it. They wanted it. The people that was there wanted it. Plus, I'm trying to get the ceremony going, and it was rushed. It was not done supposed to be done. So I was a mess. I was a complete mess. And then I've got him poking at me about it. And then I feel guilty, because I feel like, well, I didn't spend enough time with him. I was snappy with him. I was snappy with my kids, and it was just so, I couldn't take it. It was overload. Blue, welcome in. But he knew that. He knew that, and he kept me in that state for a reason. It wasn't because, he really validly wanted my attention and my love and my affection. It had nothing to do with that. It had nothing to do with the jealousy. It had to do with keeping me in that stressed situation so he could manipulate me. Because an empath is very sensitive to energies. And when an empath is constantly stressed out, constantly manipulated, constantly subdued, and second guessing themselves, their intuition is not on point. You know what I mean? Like it's not working like it needs to. So as long as they kept me like that, I couldn't build anything. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't separate myself from them. I couldn't have a life of my own. And anytime I would think about things like I was saying, like the manipulation and all of that, anytime I would think about it, like they would make me second guess myself because I was the type of person, like I just straight up tell you what I was thinking. So they would make me second guess myself, make me think I was delusional, make me think I was crazy, and so it just kept me in that loop. And then when they lost complete control, they attacked me on here, you know. But they came to find a different person than what they were used to because those attacks didn't faze me. But yeah, I broke out. But I also know that they'll be back. They all come back. Always. Every last one of them. Every one of my exes has always come back. Yes, Melanie. And that's why I said Sassicus is my ride or die. He was there with me through all of this. And I honestly don't know how I would have made it through it without him. But I've learned how to be alone and be comfortable with being alone. I actually prefer to be alone. Do I want love? Yes, I do. But I don't want all the drama and chaos that comes with it. If it can be something that is compatible, something that works with me, something that inspires me as well as I inspire it, something that will, where we're both growing, then yes. But if it's going to be something that's just going to come in to try to imprison me and trap me and don't want me to have no friends, don't want me to build anything, wants complete control, it can keep on going. I like being alone too. And that was something else. He was like, "You've got no friends, like you don't have anybody." And every time I would get somebody or try a relationship, he would sabotage it. Like he would do everything he could to sabotage it. And so, I got to a point where, I just gave up on that. But I'm comfortable with sitting in my own energy because I'm comfortable with me. I'm comfortable with being alone. I don't need somebody else to be there. I like my own company. But I love people too. I'm an introvert, but I'm also an extrovert. I love people too. I love being around people. Well, when I go home, I like my space. And that's another thing. I'm gonna have to have someone that can understand the fact that I need my space too. I need me time. So I'm it's gonna have to be somebody who is confident and secure within themselves. If I ever decide to step back out again, I'm not even sure about that. I did with that one guy, and then he didn't want to he didn't want to talk things out, and then he just ghosted. So, and I mean, that's exactly what they were doing. So I'm not getting on that same bandwagon. I don't need you to come back and tell me anything. I'm going to choose me. I'm going to leave. I mean, and I gave it a little bit of time. I gave it a little bit of time before I decided, nah, I'm choosing me. And I mean, there might be something going on, I don't know, I have no idea. But I'm not going to sit and wait either. I decided to choose me. Plus I've got this, and I like doing this. I like getting out here with you guys. But even with doing this, like, I've got to cleanse my energy, and sit with myself and get in my own energy, because I feel you guys' energy when I'm out here. And I'm not dumb. I know I got haters on here just as well. And they siphon that too. They come in, take the good energy, and go on about their day. And I know this. But I also understand my journey. If I was going to get out here and do this, and God Divine Source knew this is what I wanted to do, I had to have the tools to do it. So I gained those tools along the way, along my life. And I have experience in a lot of different things, not just this. So I can like connect with a lot of different people because I understand them at a deeper level, because I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt for that shit. Plus then I've got my channeling, and then I've got the cards, so because I've always said, okay, yeah, you can go to college and take these classes. Even a counselor can go to college, get the bookwork, get the smarts through the bookwork and all of that, but you're not really going to connect with your patients unless you've actually experienced what they have experienced. So street smarts as well. I mean, I don't know about you all, but I go and talk to somebody. When I was younger, I seen counselors when I was younger. But if I go and talk to somebody that, just did the book work, I don't connect with them because, yes, they've got the book work, they've got the basis of the understanding, but they don't have the experience. So I don't connect with them. But I took myself out of counseling a long time ago. Like, how I think 10th grade, I took myself out of counseling. Yeah, yeah, stir to the right, stir to the right, and put your intentions in it. What is your intentions? Like I do positive in, negative out kind of thing. I bring in the positive, cast out the negative, command and cast out the negative, because you can command the universe, you can command things. And I didn't used to command, but that's something extra I added. I command now. But it took a lot of time. But by doing that, I started seeing changes in my life over time. And it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of practice, and you got to keep at it. Yeah, yeah, I do it every time I make my tea, every time. And even when I went to get my V8 juice this morning, I realized that I was shaking it, and I was like, "Oh no, 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 no! We're not shaking up the word. We take that back." Because the natural instinct is to want to shake it and mix all the ingredients together, but you can shake it turning it too. Yep, walking the walk. Yep, I've definitely walked the walk in a lot of different ways. Yep. And I went through that stage in my life where I swore. I mean, I swore. They saw something I didn't see. I had a big L on my forehead, and they could see it. I couldn't see it. And like they were attracted to me. And I did have the right kind of idea, only it wasn't the L. I was never the loser. I was always meant to shine. I was always worthy. But the energy attracts energy. So dark energy could feel the light energy in me. It was an L, but not the L I thought it was. They could feel the light energy in me. So they came to suck that out and also to dim it because I irritate their demons. Yeah, you will see your life starting to change just by doing that. There's other things I do too, like when I take my showers and my baths, and just other things that I do too. I'm grateful for the littlest things. It doesn't matter what it is. I make sure that I say how grateful I am for it. I pray for others. I pray for others healing, even my enemies. I pray for my enemies. you know I just took the protection that I had around them away, because while they are in my energy, I protect them. And now I've taken that all away. And I'm already seeing karma playing out. Like, just from taking my energy back. just from cutting those cords myself, like choosing me. That's how you choose you, and unshakably choose you. You make that decision, the final decision to choose you. And you take your energy back, you take your power back. And when you do that, everything that was thrown at you has no choice but to go back. It has no choice. So all of the bad intentions they had for you, all of the negative shade they threw at you, all of that stuff that they did, the hating on you behind your back, acting like they're your friend, acting like they're your, they're your family, they love you, but actually in the background envying you and being jealous of you. Um, and the one who smiles in your face but talks about you behind you, all of that shit, when you take your power back, all of that shit goes right back to them. It's a boomerang. And that's even the people that are talking behind your back that you not even know is talking behind your back. It all goes back. And that's what I was trying to say. We are more powerful than we even realize that we are. There are parts of our brain that don't work anymore, but that is why we've give our power away, whether it be to a friend, it be to a family member, it be to a lover, a job, the GOV, whatever. We gave our power away. When we take that power back, we start making decisions for ourselves. We start standing in our own authenticity, not worrying about what other people think or say about us, because it has nothing to do with us anyway. And we are real. We're out here. We're real. We're doing what it is we feel is right for us, not what others do. We take that power back when we choose ourselves instead of choosing to completely, constantly go through these loops where we need someone else to tell us we're beautiful. We need someone else to make us feel good about ourselves. When we need all of that, we're giving someone else our power. When we decide to stop these cycles and stop going back and stop repeating the cycle and start looking within us, why is this triggering me? Is this them projecting onto me? Or is this really my truth? What's my truth? Am I really ugly? Am I really a bad person? Am I really delusional? When you start questioning those things and you start taking your power back and saying, hey, no, this isn't my truth. They're projecting this onto me. Mom and dad projected this onto me. This isn't my truth. I'm not who they say I am. This is who I am. And you stop explaining and stop defending yourself and stop feeling like you need to, then you take your power back. Yes, take your power back. As long as they can hold you in thoughts and memories of the past, of what you wish would have been. Well, maybe if I didn't do this, this wouldn't have happened. Maybe if I'd have talked about this or I'd have said something like this, would have been different. You're still giving them your power. No, you take that shit back. Take that shit back. You have nothing to defend nor explain. Nothing. And if it was in some way your fault, correct that behavior. You don't allow them to hold that power over you. You take your power back. And you're going to have haters. And when you have haters and you have people envying you and you have people throwing shade at you and people coming at you, that just means you're on the right path. Because your haters are actually fans in the background. Your haters are going to watch you more than anyone else is going to watch you because they got to know what you're doing. They got to know if you're growing and evolving. They got to know what they got to throw hate and shade at. They got to figure out a way to take you down. They envy you. And there's no reason for them to envy you, because they can do the exact same thing you do. They can do it too. All of us have intuition. Every last one of us has intuition. Every last one of us has that feeling that we don't pay attention to, that we let someone else make us second guess ourselves. Every one of us has that. But we're so used to being validated by somebody else, or somebody else needing to come in and make us feel good about ourselves and make us feel pretty. And, oh, society, you got to wear makeup, you got to dress up, you got to do this, you got to be skinny, you got to, they've got a mold in a box that they're constantly wanting to put you in. So you take your power back and you don't allow them to put you in that box. You're perfect the way you are. God don't make mistakes. Your creator doesn't make mistakes. They created you, and they created you in the body that they created you in. These are trauma wounds that you've got to take your power back for. I don't care who you are or what you look like. You're beautiful. You are beautiful. You're allowing other people to tell you you're not. You're allowing society to tell you you're not. I don't care who you are or what you've been through, or even any mistake that you think that you've made. You are still beautiful. Inside and out, you are beautiful. When you go to hating people and envying people and being jealous of people and trying to take people down, that's ugly. That's what's ugly. And God don't like ugly. And when a man or woman needs to control their other half, that means they have insecurities. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to even admit it to themselves, most of them. Some of them will go in and do the work. I'm not saying all of them, but they're projecting. They're controlling you because they don't, deep inside themselves, believe that they can keep you unless they control you. And the more someone tries to control me, the more I break away. Yes. See, Melanie, I told you, I'm a channeler. I'm a channeler. I don't need those cards. And what you resist persists. So if you're resisting something, it's what's going to happen. It's going to continue. As long as you're resisting it, it's going to continue. So we're not running, guys. We're not running. No more running. No more running out of fear. No more running because we're afraid to get hurt. And we're not chasing. No more chasing people. We don't need to chase them, because who is meant to be in our lives are going to be there. They're just going to be there. And as long as you're chasing, they are running. The energy follows energy. So if you're sending out the energy of running, then you're going to have a chaser. But that chaser's not going to stay. They're going to turn around. The energy is going to flip. The minute you stop and allow them to catch you, then it's going to flip. They're going to run. Then you're going to chase. No more running and chasing, guys. We're not running and chasing. We're standing in our power. We're choosing us. We don't need to chase. Anybody deserving of our love does not need to be chased. And anybody deserving of our love, we don't need to chase. We shouldn't have to chase them. Because if they really want to be with us, we'll know without a doubt. We will know. We won't be second guessing ourselves. We won't be beating ourselves up. We won't be doing all that. We will know. And the right person is going to put in the time, the work, the energy. They're going to want to grow and evolve with us. They're not just going to come in honeymoon phase and put the time in during honeymoon phase, and then when the honeymoon phase ends, and then run, or um, lose interest. Because during the honeymoon phase, you don't really know your person. You know what I mean? Because both people are putting the best foot forward. They're both trying to be what they think the other person wants them to be. We got to stop doing that. We got to stop doing that. We got to be ourselves, no matter what. Because then we can authentically get to know the person. And once the honeymoon phase is over, maybe you don't even have the same feelings you did because you didn't take the time to get to know each other. You didn't take the time to find out, well, you know, do I like this? Do they like this? Do we have the same interests in common? You know, and then once the honeymoon phase is over, if you don't, the relationship falls flat. So if you don't wash dishes and you go into a relationship, and I'm guilty of this, don't do the damn dishes. Don't go in their house when they've got a sink stacked full of dishes. And this has happened to me more than once. And I've gone in and I've done all the dishes, thinking, well, that'll make them feel good, about me being here. Which, I mean, I do dishes. Don't get me wrong. Well, don't go in and take on somebody else's responsibility. When you go into a relationship, whatever you're doing in that relationship is going to be expected later. So if you're not a dishwasher or you're not a cook or you're not a duster, don't go in doing those things by trying to put the best foot forward. You know what I'm saying? Go in and be authentic. Hey, look, I don't do dishes. Hey, look, I don't dust. You know, um, I'm not always going to say what you want to hear. I'm going to say what needs to be said. I'm not always going to hold back how I feel because in a relationship that I'm in, that person that cares about me is going to care about my feelings. So I'm not going to hold back my feelings. I'm not going to hold back how I feel. And I've done this for years, guys, and just pushed forward like a robot, like nothing ever bothered me. Those days are done. No more holding back my feelings. I'm not going to say I'm going to go off on you and throw a fit and all of that, but you are going to know where I stand. We need to stop worrying about hurting other people's feelings. I'm not saying to intentionally hurt people's feelings. Well, we need to stop worrying about, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this or do this because it might hurt their feelings, and then this relationship might not work out. They might not want to be with me. Who cares? Who cares if they want to be with you? If they don't want to be with you, then hell, you just got through one. You know what I mean? On to the next. Like, and I don't mean that in a cold way. I mean, instead of holding yourself back in a cycle of 3, 4, 5 years, sitting there holding yourself back, holding your peace, not saying how you feel, you're sacrificing yourself for another person. And another person is sacrificing you for their own. You know what I mean? So let's stop doing that. Let's stop doing that. If we can't go into a relationship and speak our feelings, and if it triggers somebody, then that's their emotions that they need to deal with. That's not on your shoulders. You have a right to feel the way that you feel. You have a right to express the way that you feel. If they don't like that, that's something they got to work through. If they leave, then that wasn't your person. So why spend 3, 4 years with that person when clearly that wasn't your person? And you spend all that time sacrificing yourself, sacrificing your feelings to keep them happy so you can keep them. No, we don't need to be doing that. Right, right, Melanie. That was like me too, you know? They, I kept running into situations where they throw me out. This is supposed to be ours together, but they throw me out. Even a home that I helped pay for, like my check paid for, my back check. It still threw me out. So it still was not ours. They still saw it as theirs. You know what I'm saying? So I kept running into situations where it wouldn't work out. The guy threw me out. Didn't give me a chance to get on my feet or none of that. They threw me out. And when I tried to take that power back, to try to save money, to try to get on my feet, no, that doesn't work. So, I had one that did throw me out. We paid for the place together. Matter of fact, I bought it and then he put money toward it. So we paid for it together. We bought a van together. We paid for that together. And he threw me out. Like, this is supposed to be my place too. He threw me out. But he is the only one who came back and gave me my half. No God Gabby, welcome in. Hi, how are you? So then I was like, I don't want to get a place with somebody else because they could throw me out anytime they want to. So I want my own place. You know what I mean? Switch the dynamic, switch the power. But it shouldn't be like that. Like, you should have a place together. And then I had one guy who was, his family was against me and fighting me all the time. And he was running lies to them and they were fighting me all the time. And he was fighting me all the time. But he was buying this house. And I was like, I'm not. I will help pay the electric. I will help pay, the internet, the phone, all of that. I will help pay all of that, but I am not paying on the house because I am not paying on something that I'm going to have no benefits toward, no rights to. If something happens to you, I'm out on my ass. I'm not. I'm not doing that. And he even took his lease and all his paperwork and everything over to his mom's. Like, I was going to do something with it. What? Like, I want to see you succeed, but you're not going to succeed on behalf of me. You know what I mean? And then just one day decide you're going to throw me out. And he did later. He did later throw me out in the middle of a winter storm, or attempt to. The first time he attempted to. The second time, we just left. But that's what I'm saying. See, it would have benefited from me paying on that, and then I wouldn't have had nothing. So, no. So yeah, guys, like we're retraining our brains. We've been taught wrong. And I'm not saying there isn't men out there. I'm sure there's men out there that go through this too. And I'm sure there's men out there that's been raised up in the old system too, where, you're supposed to do everything for your family. You're supposed to jump when you're asked to jump. You're supposed to ask how high. We're supposed to be the ones that are doing and taking care of everybody. No. In this day and age, both have to work. Woman and man both have to work in order to survive in this world. So how is it fair that the woman does everything? And men, if you fall into this category, then you do. But how is it fair that you do everything and your spouse or other half gets to come home and kick their legs up after working a job when you've worked a job too. Like you've done it too. But you have more expectations on you. That's not right either. Or where we think our other half has should have control over us. Like we should submit to them. And I'm not saying like bedroom stuff or anything like that. Like that's a total different ball game. But in life, your spouse should not be your authority figure. They are not your father. They are not your mother. They are not supposed to have authority over you. It's supposed to be an equal. Neither one's better than the other. You're in a dynamic where you feel like you've got to walk on eggshells or you've got to answer to your partner. And I'm not saying not sit down and have a talk and discuss things together and make decisions together. I'm talking in a situation where you have to answer to your partner. That's wrong right there. That's wrong right there. I fell into a lot of those categories, a lot of those relationships. I watched my mom in those relationships. I grew up in those types of relationships. I grew up with narcissistic fathers. Um, so, I continued the cycle. I married into a relationship where I feared my partner. My partner, was abusive. My partner was controlling. I couldn't have a life outside of him, you know. Um, both of you should be able to have separate lives outside of the relationship. Like you have your friends, you have your hobbies, you have things that you do outside of each other. And I'm not talking about cheating because I am not for that at all. I'm talking about going out and having a normal, healthy life. You have kids, then one should be able to keep the kids while the other one goes out and hangs out with their friends. The other should be able to keep the kids while the other one goes out and hangs. It should be a healthy balance. And when I had my kids, I didn't get child support from their fathers. I did it myself. When they were with me, I did it myself. I'm also a woman that has paid child support. So, and when my divorces came through, I didn't ask for help. I did it myself. I didn't ask them for shit, not for nothing. I've had to fight my whole life just to be me. What the hell? Like, why? You know? Why is it not okay for me to be me? You can go off and do whatever the hell you want to do, but I can't be me. Oh, and see, and I allowed that. I allowed that. And it can't happen unless you allow it. I allowed that all these years. I allowed that. And now I'm like, no, no. It is okay for me to be me. You can't handle me being me, then maybe you don't need to be in my life. And it did stem down to, I started making this change several months back. And it started with when he had came back and he had said, well, you ain't changed nothing. You haven't changed. Like, you're still doing the same things over and over again. And I sat back and I reflected on that because I knew I had been doing the work. I knew I had been working on myself. So I just got this epiphany moment. Maybe I'm not the problem. Maybe you're the problem. And I didn't tell him that, but that's the epiphany moment that I got. And once I got that epiphany moment, like things just started changing. I just started changing things. His opinion, I valued his opinion less. And at one point in time, I put him on a pedestal. At one point in time, I put all of them on a pedestal. And they didn't belong on that pedestal. I had expectations that I should have never had also. You know, they didn't belong on the pedestal. I didn't belong on the pedestal. We belonged on the ground together. And it's not all their fault because I have to take responsibility for my own actions. I chose to allow them to guilt trip me into giving, over giving, time, energy, money, all of it. That would not have happened had I not allowed it. Had I not been an overgiver. Had I not felt like in order to keep them or in order for them to love me, I needed to be a certain way. I needed to do this. I needed to walk this line. You know, so I have to take responsibility for my own actions as well. And then I had my abandonment issues and my trust issues, you know, so I had to work through that too. I had to take responsibility for that. My abandonment issues are what put me in a relationship where I was being abandoned because those issues were constantly being triggered. My trust issues. You can't trust someone else, it's because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust your own decisions you're making. And because you don't trust yourself, you can have all the faith in the world, but if you don't trust yourself, you're going to call in an energy of someone you can't trust. Or develop that energy. I'm human, guys. Like, we all are. We are humans being in an experience here on earth. Is this our spirits are wanting to have an experience. It's up to us what we make of that experience. That's like it's up to us whether we choose to wake up every day and choose to be happy regardless of what's going on around us. Or we can choose to wake up and have a shitty day. It's our decision. No one else's. It's our decision. Are we going to give our power away or are we going to take our power back? And look, also, if you You keep allowing people to get away with the same things over and over again, they're just going to keep doing the same things over and over again because there is no consequence for it. Absolutely no consequence. They don't have to sit and reflect because you keep coming back. As long as you keep coming back, they know they can keep doing it. They can apologize, you'll accept the apology, you'll go back, and the cycle will repeat. Yes. And if someone that you want to be with is out here with somebody else, they don't deserve you. Why would you keep staying and fighting for that? Why would you keep saying, well, my twin flame is with this person and they shouldn't be with this person. They should be with me. And I'm going to sit and I'm going to put my life on hold and wait on them to make a decision to see me for who I am and that they belong with me. Why do that? Why do that? Why put your life on hold waiting for someone who clearly doesn't see your worth? Or more so, does see your worth, but no, you don't see it. So they know they can play these games with you. There's going to be no repercussions. Okay, now what's she doing? I know it's got to be Brie because it's not me. But yeah, we're not, we're allowing them to do this to us. And this is men and women, not just women. Men and women are allowing this to be done to them. You're not making them reap any repercussions. Leave. Choose yourself. And if they come back in 3 months, still choose yourself. Because they're used to coming back in 3 months and you taking them back. That's what they would do to me. Be like 3 months and then they'd come back in like nothing ever happened. And, well, why are you mad? Or why did you try to move on? You should have been sitting there waiting on me. No, no, no. It's time for them to reap what they sow. It's time for us to take our power and our lives back. We ain't sitting and waiting on nobody. Just sit and wait on who? You got to sit and wait on somebody, then they don't know your value, or they do and you don't. It's sad that it had to get to that point, though, Melanie, and I've been there too. I've been there too. You know, um, my husband and my babysitter set me up, and DHHR took my boys, and I fought 3 years. I fought for them, and I turned to drugs too. I did because it numbed me and it gave me energy that I didn't have. I was exhausted all the time, and I jumped through all the damn hoops that they wanted me to jump through, all of them. At one point in time, like, I had my own place. I was renting my own place, and I had my oldest son. They didn't take him, which never made any sense to me. But there was a well outside, and the landlord had like a concrete slab on the well. And she basically said that if he didn't cement and root that down into the ground, that I couldn't have the kids back. And she couldn't move it as an adult. And my kids were young. Both of us couldn't move it. But they used that as an excuse for me not to get my kids back. Even though I jumped through every fucking other hoop that they gave me. Every one of them. And my kids did come back into my life later. But I spent all of that time beating myself up, feeling like a failure, feeling like I failed them. And it actually took my oldest son to walk up to me and basically tell me, because he stayed with his dad too. His dad double crossed me. But took him to come up to me one day and walk up to me and tell me, Mom, I knew at 8 years old I was going to do drugs. He was with me at that time and he wasn't around that. But he was like, Mom, I knew when I was 8 years old that I was going to do drugs. He already knew his path. He already knew his destiny. That's when I finally released myself. And I realized that they were on their own paths. They were on their own journeys. Had my youngest son not spent time with his grandmother and been hit in the back of the head and secluded away from everybody and not allowed to have friends and not allowed to do that and constantly standing up for me, which I wish he wouldn't have done because I can stand up for myself. Had he not gone through that, he wouldn't have became the rapper that he was. You know what I'm saying? Because I protected them. You know, my youngest boy used to hide behind me when people came. I was very protective of them. So they wouldn't have had those experiences. He would have never had those experiences. His anger is what led him to Eminem and start listening to Eminem and liking Eminem and then getting out there and being inspired to rap. And she would tell him that it was stupid and he didn't need to be doing that and all of that. But I mean, he's really good at what he does. And he's very eye-opening too. So, but again, I am human. And when my kids were taken, I had the babysitter against me. I had my husband against me. None of my family was there for me. I was young. I didn't understand the system at all. I was naive when it came to the system. I didn't know how to go get help. Only that, I had my lawyer trying to kiss me. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have got him barred. I didn't know any of that. So I the system failed me. They failed me and they failed my kids. I did have my youngest son put with somebody who encouraged his independence though. So I was glad. I was happy about that. But I paid child support. I paid child support to the father that didn't pay child support when I had our sons. He never once attempted to pay child support or help me out. But I paid child support. I went into the judge and said, look, I'm the mother. Take it out of my check. He's my responsibility. He's my child. Take it out of my check. And on the side was also, I was also buying things. Like I bought him a tent. I bought him fishing gear. I bought him all kinds of stuff. He had clothes, like aside from the child support. And that situation was basically I grew up without my dad. I grew up with stepfathers. I wanted my kids to know their father. I wanted them to make their own decision on how they felt about their father. I always took the kids for like vacations and holidays and stuff to their dad, and he backstabbed me. I'm the one that always had the vehicle. He didn't. And then when the time was up, he didn't bring him back. Like, he kept him. And possession is 9/10 of the law, guys. So even with the twins' father that stabbed me in between my heart and lungs, even with him, I still, when he got out and he ended up coming around, my daughter invited him to graduation. I still tried to help him have a relationship with his children. Once he told me that he had been up for 21 days in a row, your mind is not functioning right at that moment. I forgive him instantly. And I tried to help him have a life with his kids. And I would not have told my kids about it. My family told them. So they already were forming their opinion up till then. And while he was in jail, I did talk to them as soon as I found out he was getting out. I did talk to them about having supervised visitation, because at the end of the day, what happened between me and him was between me and him, not between me, him, and the kids. At the end of the day, they needed to make up their mind on how they felt about him. And it didn't happen the way that I wanted it to. And I did try to help him be a part of his kids' lives, even though he missed out on all of that. Tried to help him. And the kids did bring him back in. And my one daughter, she did try to accept him back into her life. She did try to have something to do with him. He made promises and then he disappeared. My other daughter, who didn't graduate at the time, and you could clearly see on his face that he was disappointed in the fact that she didn't graduate. And it wasn't for me not trying to push her to graduate, because I was. But she took on a job and she was doing both for a while, and then she decided she was quitting. And nothing I did changed that. But she did go back later. But the point I'm making is that he babied the other daughter because she graduated. He treated the other one like shit, like she was nothing because she didn't graduate. And she still tried to get a hold of him and have some kind of a relationship with him. He ended up showing them who he really was, not me. Yeah, Melanie, I know exactly how that feels. My son Isaiah, um, the rapper, we're very close now, but they took him. They awarded him to the state till he was 18. But I fought for 3 years and I jumped through every freaking hoop they gave me. And it came down to a fucking concrete slab on top of a well that two adults couldn't push, but they were saying young kids could. And when they got taken from me, I had left an abuser. He was beating on me. But they took his side and my babysitter's side over mine. So I had been in an abuse shelter twice over this guy. Not only did he abuse me, but he hit and bit a cop. And they still took his side over mine. So yeah, my boys were 2 and 3 years old when they took them, and I fought for 3 years. Luckily, the woman that I placed my youngest son with, she never kept him from me. Like I still had visitations with him. I still got to see him when whatever boyfriend I was with wasn't trying to keep me away and control me. I still got to see him no matter what. I still got to see him. I still got to spend time with him. I still got to see him, grow up and be independent. And I still got to be a part of his life. Now, the grandmother, on the other hand, me and her never got along. So she kept him away from me, not only away from me, but away from his brother as well. And those kids were all close. They were all close when they were little. But they didn't take my oldest one. And he was like, what? 6? They didn't take him. So you explain to me how that works. And then when he was 8, I let him go to his dad's, and I switched it up. I let him spend the school year with him, and he was supposed to bring him back, and he did not. And I ultimately did that because, like, he would go around all the time with a sour look on his face, and I could never figure it out. Like, I could never figure out what was wrong. And when I went down there, he had spent some of the summer with him, and I had went down there. They had pulled me aside and set me down and told me that my stepdad here had hog-tied my son, and I guess my son got mad and took off. And he had called me. I'd got a call at work when that happened, and some people I knew had gotten him and brought him back up here. And then I talked to him when I got home. But the other thing that was going on that I did not know, and he wouldn't tell me because he knew if I knew, I would go to hell off. My little brother was apparently tying him to a tree and leaving him there. And he didn't tell me about it, and put him in a barrel and shut the lid on him. And he didn't tell me about these things because he knew how I was. He knew I would go off, and he wasn't trying to make waves. But when I went up there, I just felt like, he was smiling, he was laughing, he was happy. And I sat down with them and I had this conversation. And I sat down with him, and that's exactly what he told me. He was like, Mom, I didn't want you to go off. I didn't want you to go off. And I know you would have. And despite how he was being, he still loved the family. He still loved the family. And so because he was laughing and all of that, I took it as he was happier there. So I let him stay for school. And I didn't realize that the reason he was smiling is because I was there. Because I had came. He had spent some of the summer with his dad, and I had came. And him being happy had nothing to do with them. It had to do with the fact that I was there. So then he felt like I abandoned him, but I didn't abandon him. I did what I thought was best for him at the time. And then I came back home and I dealt with the situation here. So that's something we had to work through too. But he did set back in 2020, I think it was, he sat at the house with me against the fence, and that's when he told me, Mom, I knew at 8 years old that I was going to be a drug addict. I knew I was going to do drugs. And he's in and out of that. You know what I mean? And for the longest time, like, I was over giving to them too because I felt guilty. And then, one day I told him, I was like, I'm not chasing you anymore. I love you more than anything. I love you. But I'm not going to continue to chase you. You know where I'm at. I'm not going to continue to feel guilty and be an overgiver and, give you all everything that you want because I feel guilty. I've more than made up for that. But again, I was young. The system failed all of us. I didn't have the family support to back me up. I had I had no support. I had absolutely no support. I didn't know what the hell I was doing out here. I was a single parent. The fathers weren't helping me, you know? And I'm not making an excuse, but I'm saying the system failed us. So, like I said before, I didn't I didn't know how to be a loving, caring. I mean, I loved my kids, don't get me wrong. I loved my kids. I took care of my kids. They had what they needed. They didn't always have what they wanted. But I wasn't the nurturing type mother. I was the mother like I had, I told you I loved you. I did things, actions to show you that I loved you, but I didn't have that nurturing motherly instinct. I had to teach myself that. But as I have taught myself that, I have poured that out to my kids. And, me and my kids have worked through a lot. We've worked through a lot. And my oldest one, I don't know. I pray for him every day. I pray for him. He's in and out my life. He comes in and he goes, and he comes in and he goes. He's got his own issues that he's dealing with, and he's not one that opens up to people. He doesn't talk to people about his problems. He's one that solves them himself. So all I can do is pray for him and, hope that he finds happiness and healing and all of that. I mean, I was working with them, back in 2020. Like, they were even doing readings and stuff with me. And, we were working through issues. We were working through problems, not just with me, but with what was going on with them. And I don't know. He just pulled himself away from the whole family, which I can understand. I can totally understand why he pulled himself away from this family, because they were constantly putting him down. They were constantly judging him. But I was trying to love him. But he went down that path. He wasn't wrong. He did. He went down that path. But I don't know. I just woke up one day and I just said the drugs weren't for me. Wasn't for me. Wasn't my life. Wasn't who I was meant to be. And then I fought and I resisted it. He even had it going on still around me, and I still fought and resisted it. And I made myself stay in that chair. I just wish I would have added these damn things to it. But I quit everything. I quit weed. I quit everything. I quit drinking. I quit all of it. I'm not perfect. I'm human. None of us are perfect. We're human. We're having an experience. We're a human being here having an experience. Bubby's telling Dad he's got to pee. Let me out. I got to pee. They're having a conversation. But guys, I'm not coming out here trying to say I'm perfect. I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect. I'm coming out here telling you who I am. I'm an open book. an open book, and I'm authentic, and I'm real. I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. I'm not trying to portray myself to be somebody I'm not. I've had a lot of different experiences and a lot of different things, and I've worked on myself in a lot of different ways. I have a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge. And I'm here to tell you to accept yourself for who you are, to be authentically you. You have nothing to explain to anybody, you have nothing to defend. Be you. That's what you were sent here to be. You were sent here to be you, not be who everybody else wants you to be. You weren't sent here to serve somebody. You weren't sent here to be controlled. You weren't sent here to have to chase love or run from love. You were sent here to be you and stand in that, stand in who you are and be unshakable. You still smoke a little green. I do from time to time. Not like I used to, but I do from time to time. I was away from it for what I quit in 2012. So I was away from it for probably 7, 8 years before I went back to smoking. And then I just smoked here and there. And I would smoke with my friends, and they would laugh at me because they would keep passing it to me, and I hadn't smoked it in so long, like it didn't take much to get me high. So like they would keep pushing it on me, and they thought it was funny when I would be heaving and dry heaving and feeling like I was going to throw up, and they just thought it was funny. They just laughed at me. And I finally got to a point where they quit sidetracking me, and I'm like, no, 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 no. But then I moved to my dad's, and I started really getting into it a lot. Until like I'm paying $230 a freaking month on it, and I'm not barely getting any. Everybody else is smoking it up, and nobody's bringing it back. So I was just like, you know what? Fuck this. I quit. So I quit again. And then, um, when I moved to Clarksburg, I did it there. The one guy, we would sit and talk for hours in the evening and just sit and smoke. And I enjoyed that time. It was nice to hang out and, enjoy that time. And then, and we were just friends. That was it. We were just friends. He had a girlfriend. I was taking care of his ex-wife, and he lived there with his ex-wife. His girlfriend knew that. But anyway, I liked the friendship. I liked the bond. I enjoyed the bond that we had. But then he started, staying away more and doing things with her more. And I kind of missed the bond. I did. And then, I didn't like smoking by myself. So every once in a blue moon I would, but not much. I don't like smoking by myself. Makes you dream more. It relaxes you. It relaxes your body. The reason I ended up going back to it is because my anxiety was getting really bad, and I mean I had a bottle of anxiety pills that I had for 6 years. And when one of my exes came back, my anxiety started getting bad, so I started taking my anxiety pills again, which I hated doing because they would make me tired. But and I felt like I slept enough of my life away. But anyway, the anxiety was increasing with him, and I ended up and I even showed them the bottle, like they knew. um but I ended up having to go back and get more, and they gave me 15. And at the end of that month, I asked them for another refill, and they basically treated me like a drug addict. And I wasn't doing anything but smoking cigarettes and my caffeine. So it pissed me off. It pissed me off that they would treat me like that. And I passed their little drug test because I wasn't doing anything. I hadn't smoked weed in like I said, 6 or 7 years. And so I was like, fuck this. I'm going back to weed. I'm gonna go back to that for my anxiety. And then I switched doctors, and I even told my new doctor, I'm like, Yeah, I'm smoking weed for my anxiety because they treated me like a drug addict. That pissed me off. So I'm smoking weed. And she just looked at me and she said, I wish I could prescribe it for you. She said, I recommend it. So, you know, it just relaxes you more, and it allows the dream state to come in and take hold, because we're always, not realizing it, but we've always got our shoulders up and we're always waiting on the other shoe to fall. And that was always me, waiting on the other shoe to fall. It's too good to be true. I'm waiting on the other shoe to fall, you know? So we don't realize it, but we're in stress mode and guarded mode constantly. And that kind of mellows you out, relaxes you. At least I know it does me. I'll laugh and joke and cut up and talk for hours, you know. But but I'm the same way when I drink, which, I haven't really I haven't done that. The last time that I had anything was not this past, yeah. Yeah, it was this past New Year's. Um I had rum balls on New Year's Eve, and I drank a couple wine coolers here and there through that year. Not many, just a couple through that year. But I kind of quit after I had my second heart attack, because I had quit for the longest time. And then right before I had my heart attack, I was going through all this stress and all of this stuff, dealing with my brother, dealing with these guys in jail. And then also, I was drinking. I wasn't drinking a lot, but I was having one or two drinks when I would go out to the bar and do my tarot. I was having one or two drinks um at the beginning of, what was it, 2023. I had started, drinking more. I was drinking upside down pineapple cakes, and um my Aquarius friend up there had me taking shots with her, crown shots with her, and I was taking vodka shots, which is why that woman was like, you want to try this vodka instead, and here you mix it with this. And she introduced me to the upside down pineapple cake drink, which I loved. I even created a drink called the Crystal Ball while I was there. I don't even know where that is. I have it, the recipe somewhere. I even created one because of, me doing tarot and stuff in there. And so, like, then after I had my heart attack, like, I was afraid. I was afraid of the drinking. So I quit. Which I never liked drinking to the point where my room was spinning and my head was buzzing. So, yeah, like I said, one or two drinks and that was it. And I also took food with me. So after I would drink, I would eat. Like, I would heat something up in their microwave, make something in their microwave, and I would eat before I would go home. Which I was only like, what, 10 minutes down the road from where I was going to the bar at. And then when they closed down and the other one opened, I was even closer. But I didn't drink there. Like, I went in and I got sodas. Anybody bought me anything, it was a soda. I let a couple of guys buy me some food. Not very often though, because yeah, I wasn't trying to get picked up. That's good. I'm glad it's better now. And at the one bar I was at, my drink got roofied. Thank God I was only 10 minutes from my house. I was only there an hour. There was only two people in the bar. The bartender, I know she didn't do it, and another guy. And I had already heard about him, but I wasn't thinking, and I left my Pepsi at the gambling machine. I left my Pepsi there, and I went into the bathroom, and I came back out, and I hadn't been there an hour. Now, mind you, I was going in the evening and staying at this place till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning every day. And I hadn't been there but an hour, and something didn't feel right. I didn't feel right. So I decided that I was going to go home. And I drove home. I got in my front door. I locked my front door. I no sooner got in my room and sat down on my bed, and I was out. I was out cold. So I was lucky. So after that, like, my drinks went everywhere with me. I didn't care, Pepsi or whatever. It went everywhere with me. And there were several girls that said that that boy roofied them. So I wasn't thinking about it. I was playing the slots. Nobody was really at the bar yet, and I was just sitting there playing the slot machines and gambling and waiting on people to show up and yeah. But then that bar ended up shutting down right after, and that was crazy too because it seems like, I don't know, every time I leave a place, right after I leave, like, it shuts down. Things had become stagnant there, so I decided that I was going to leave. And I had stopped by the other bar that was opening up and had asked them, but then again, I was second guessing myself. They didn't say no to doing tarot there, but they didn't say yes. So I got in my head, and I didn't end up going there. But I'd left the other place, and it wasn't long after I left, the owner passed away, and the son, just did away with all of it. But then 7 months later, because I didn't have a car, my car ended up going down. And when I had stopped in at the other bar, my brother was offering me to, use his car. And I didn't, because I was in my head, well, they didn't say yes, they didn't say no. What does that mean? Instead of going and talking to them. And so I didn't go. And later on, I ended up getting another vehicle. And my brother ended up pissing me off. I had gone down there for my birthday with my friend. And the girl there was like, why don't you come in here and do tarot? She's like, you did it at the other place. And I was like, well, I thought about it, and I told her, about all of that at the beginning. And she was like, yeah, you should do it here. Well, I was thinking about it, and a couple days later, I got into an argument with my brother. My brother pissed me off um, after me cleaning the living room, and, him going in his room and just grabbing all his shit and throwing it out there. And that's what he would do. He would come home, clean his room, throw all his shit in the living room, and then leave. And then I'd have to throw it all back in his room. And we got into it about it. And he was just being really rude and disrespectful and bullying me. So I got pissed off, and I went down the bar, and I went and I talked to them about coming in. And they got a hold of the manager, and he called me, and they called me in, and I started going into work. and it was 2 days a week. And then the DJ, she called me in on a Friday, I think it was. She called me in on a Friday, told me she had some people come in that wanted to get a reading from me, but then they didn't end up showing up. And then I just started doing Fridays too. So, you know, right. Yeah. I mean, I was just completely out. Like there was no talking, there was nothing. I was just completely out. And I woke up feeling grateful that I had come home. Because something told me to go home. And I lived alone at that time too. So all I had was the dogs there. And the crazy thing is, after that guy got barred from the second bar, none of the girls had any problems with that anymore. That was crazy. But then also after I left that bar, like, and I I went in to let them know on New Year's Eve that I was quitting. I wasn't going to be there anymore. And they had their celebration and stuff, and I took some rum balls or whatever, said goodbye to everybody. And then when I moved in February, I moved to Clarksburg. That bar also shut down. So it was weird. It was like after I left, they just kind of went under. And the place that I was doing in Clarksburg was the flea market. As far as I know, everything's still good there. Like they're facing some issues right now, but as far as I know, everything's good there. And I love the people there, and I love the people at the bar too, at both the bars. And like I said, a couple of my OGs from there followed me. Like the one that got on here the other day, she's one of the ones that I met up there that I do readings and stuff for. They'll call me up and I'll do readings for them. Um, and then the young man that was on here the other day, he's from even before that when I lived in Kingwood, like 6 years or so ago. And even with this guy that was in jail that had me to the point of getting rid of my tarot cards and giving up a couple of different times, those guys are the ones that came in and they're like asked me, do a reading for them, and I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like I quit. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I quit. Like I'm not doing it anymore. And I started telling them, about him and what he was saying, and they're like, fuck him. Fuck him. No, you're not quitting. You're good at what you do. And you're going to do a tarot reading for me. So they are the reason that I kept going. Like my OGs, they're the reason that I kept going. Good night. I love you. You have a good day. or a good night. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be hard on yourself. I'll be right back, guys. I gotta go to the bathroom. I figured you would go out. Nope, too cold. Dad! Hold on, guys. I gotta go let Bubby in. you hear him? Never mind, I got him. Yep, Dad got him. All right, so I'm back. Yep, don't mess up. He's probably going to come up here. He doesn't, I'll be shocked. No, maybe not.